Hello, everyone. I'm Laura Rogers, and welcome to SharePoint Power Hour. This is our weekly show that we do every Wednesday at 11 Central. And again, I'm Laura Rogers. I do demos. We do all kinds of things that you can do out of the box in SharePoint and SharePoint Online Office 365, all different versions of SharePoint. And our goal is that we're focused towards more business users, less devy type stuff. And people are not necessarily programmers, or not necessarily hardcore server admins. And I started, let's see, a few months ago, a while back, I started a series of forms product comparisons. There's a whole playlist in my YouTube channel of all the forms product comparisons that I've already done. This is another one that I'm doing today. It's because, I've always been an InfoPath fan. I love InfoPath. I wrote a book on InfoPath, that old 2010 step-by-step book. And it's been around for whatever, 13 years or so, and it's going away though. So for the past, I think 3 years or so, ever since Microsoft announced that they're not developing on InfoPath any further, I'm constantly getting questions from a lot of you out in the community, questions when I go to conferences, questions on my blog, like people saying, tell me what the new thing is. What do I move to? I want an answer. They want to know what the official next thing is. So Microsoft's still working on Power Apps and Flow. We already did another demo of Flow, and Power Apps also. But in the meantime, a lot of you need to be able to have a forms product right now, and you don't really necessarily have time to wait a couple of months or a few months or however long until Power Apps is really fully baked and ready to go. And it's very, very different than kind of what you might be used to with just quick form editing and things like that. It's a completely different beast. It's got a lot, it's kind of raw, it's got a lot of sort of syntax and things like that you still need to be able to know in there. So I've got a few customers that I work with that, I do SharePoint consulting, and I've researched, all these forms products, and I've tested a bunch of them out. And so the one that I'm going to do today is InfoWise, and the website is InfoWise Solutions. And the specific product of theirs that I'm doing is in Office 365. It's called InfoWise Ultimate Forms, and it is awesome. I am in love with this product. It's so much fun. I've gotten a couple of my customers to go ahead and invest in it. It's a great, it's not even a direct replacement for InfoPath. It's different. It's even got a lot of additional things that InfoPath didn't do, and a lot of these other products didn't do. So I'm trying to partner up with them because I like this product so much. I'm very excited about it. And so you guys let me know if you go to their site and if you think you're going to end up buying it or something like that. Talk to me. I might be able to get you a discount or something like that. So come to me. We also have some guys. Let's see who is in the chat room today. We have, let's see. Hi. Yep. InfoWise. There he is. I think that's Vladdy in the chat room. So iwmentor.slack.com is my Slack channel. There's a link to it in the description of this YouTube video. There's also a link to, fill out a form to join it if you're not in yet. But he's here also to answer questions and just chat with everybody and get feedback and things like that. So there he is. Say hello. And you guys feel free to, again, like we always do, just ask questions as we go. Slack's a lot of fun. Try hitting the backslash. There's a lot of cool stuff that you can do in there. You can add reactions and all kinds of neat stuff. But I don't want to spend too much time chatting because there is so much to cover with this product. It does so much. So I put together some demos. The idea behind my demos was I was going to attempt to try and be able to highlight as many of this product's features as I could within each demo. So I've mocked up a few like common scenarios and things that I've been using it for. I've been using it like crazy though. It's a lot of fun. So what I'm going to start with is I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Let's see, share my screen in here and there. You should see it now. Y'all let me know if there are any performance issues because we've had issues before when I've used this this XSplit software of mine to share my screen, but you can see my little face in the corner there while I'm doing it. All right, so here are there are some things that I've mocked up. First, I want to show you, this is an app in the App Store, And what you get is you get the ability to go straight to it just from site contents, go to InfoWise Ultimate Forms. And once you're there, it has, first of all, you pick which list or library on your site that you want to start working with. And then you have all these different things. So I'm going to just kind of rattle through them real quick, and then I'm going to do demos of a bunch of these things. So you can configure tabs and tab permissions, advanced column permissions. People always ask for that, right? View permissions, huge. Column validation, column default values and dynamic rules. Business logic, this is like workflow stuff, except a lot more than you get with SharePoint Designer workflows. Alerts are going to be very custom alerts, kind of like an email in a workflow, but a lot more power to it, a lot more dynamic things you can do with it, like base them on dates and things like that. Item IDs, you can pick a field to be like a unique ID in your list. I can import things on a regular basis from other systems or emails. Awesome. Print and export, that's going to give me the ability to take the data in my list or in an item and make it look much prettier when I print it. It's got web parts, chart web part. People are asking for that all the time. It's even got a color-coded event calendar. Calendar is very pretty that you can use for any list and library. And an advanced list search interface that you can slap on, you know, as a web part, slap it on any list or multiple lists and libraries for people to be able to search through that in a different way. And then a whole bunch more stuff. Look at this, y'all. Y'all shout it out in the little chat window when you see cool things that you think look very useful. Associated items. This is like a parent-child relationship. This is stuff that we do in SharePoint all the time. This is, you know, that master-child thing in InfoPath. It was repeating tables that were so painful, that are so hard to deal with. This is the ability to have just related lists in SharePoint and have like a parent-child lookup and have the associated items show in the, you know, in the master record. Associated item summary lets you be able to do totals and things from those associated items. Connected lookup. This is a cascading drop down. This is another thing that people have been asking me for years, that the only no-code way I knew to do it was in InfoPath, but this is a cascading drop down. It's got a lot, even more functionality than I can do in InfoPath. Line of business item link, that's to some other system. That's kind of like you use that instead of like things that we had to do in the BCS before. Signature, you can actually have official signatures in here. People can sign items, and you know, that way if the item something gets changed in that item later, it can invalidate the signature. User properties, automatically filling user properties. That is awesome. People ask for that all the time too. Can you see, like, everything that I'm listing here is stuff that people have asked me for years. Things that have been painful that I've blogged about for, you know, 10 years, that I've been trying to figure out ways to do a lot of this stuff in SharePoint, and it's all right here. So color choice, this is like color coding and icons for choice columns. Indicators like KPIs, document link. This is another huge one where you can have like a list item that instead of having to put attachment on the item, you can actually have a link to the item in a document library, so it's more available for, you know, collaboration. It's not stuck and buried in there like an attachment. And then voting. This is anonymous voting by your end users. You cannot tell who voted on things when you use this. All right, so I just really quickly just spent like 5 minutes rattling through everything. Now I'm going to start showing some of my demos. I'm gonna start with, let's see, which one do I want to start with? I'm gonna do, okay, so I created this little like an IT help, like issues list, and I spent like 3 hours last night doing all this. I am a nerd. All right. So I created this help desk issues list. So this is just using like the issues, you know, template in SharePoint to let people be able to log tickets and things like that. But what I did is I added a couple of, you know, their features in here. So I went ahead, I'll show you what the new item form looks like. I customized this with the with some custom tabs in here. And like I have help desk ticket is for the person filling it out. And then you can do things like this admin tab is only people that are in the IT staff are going to be able to see this admin tab that's going to have extra fields for them to be able to work on. So broke stuff. And I'll just say, look at this. So I'm going to say software. Ooh, it's a cascading drop down. So it's giving me specific software that I can pick from. And look at this, I even turned on this little setting that lets me say, oh, I don't see something in this cascading dropdown that needs to be there. I can quickly click and create a new item over in that other list where the cascading dropdown is coming from, right there. So category, I'd say what category, and then subcategory it would go under. I also, let me put that back, had the ability to, let's see, stuff. Look at this, issue status. I don't want the end users maybe editing the issue status. I just want it to be active by default. I want them to be able to see it, but not change it. Huge, right? Okay, so that was just an example of adding an item to this list. And I'll show you, I can go and let's see. I'll go edit that item that I just added. Let's see, broke stuff. That's the kind of tickets that you see in a ticketing system, right? All right, so I'm editing this one. So now I don't think I saved when I did that a second ago. Let's see, there we go. In this admin tab, I added extra things like we can assign it to somebody. Corey, I want you to work on this. Corey, you know what? I didn't even introduce you because I was in such a hurry to get to these products.
It's okay. Everybody knows who I am anyway.
Okay, Corey Emmons, everybody. He's there. Just shout it out and interrupt me if you think anything's cool, Corey. All right. Sometimes like we don't want the comments to be seen by, you know, the people that maybe open the tickets. This is, so we put it on the admin tab. So this guy is an idiot. So I'll put that on the tab where the end users can't see it, put it to low priority. And so these are, again, are fields that I put on a special area where only the admin people can see it. And then let's see, I went ahead and now I'll kind of show you how I did some of this stuff and what all the magic is behind the scenes. So a quick way that I can get in here and edit the list is, instead of, you know, InfoPath, it's right there nearby. So it's an easy, quick way to go design that form. Let me show you what my other lists are real quick. So I've got some top level categories here, just some IT, just top level categories. And then I created the subcategory list, which has got a, each one of these has got a lookup field over to the category list. And then it's just, you know, the name of whatever the subcategory is, like that. So that's what those lists are. And so that's what I'm using for my cascading dropdown. So I'll go back over to, so I can go to my list, to my IT help list directly and hit the design button, or I can go to InfoWise Ultimate Forms that way, and I can go to my list in here, so my IT help list. So what I did was I went and configured my tabs and tab permissions. So this is where you can add multiple tabs. You just give your tab a name and you click add, and it adds it to this list, and I can change the order of them. So I can go edit my, this is my main tab, my help desk ticket tab, and I can see whether I've put permissions on that tab or not. And let's see, tab column association. This is what columns, what fields do I want to see in that tab? And I just click to add them over here. It's really easy, and then I can just order them. Now, one of the main differences between like some of the really, really high-end form editing products like we demoed K2 and Nintex is that this product doesn't have a WYSIWYG interface where you're dragging things around on a form surface on the screen, you know, like you've seen in those other ones. But to me, like the huge difference in cost savings for what you get in here and just the ability to do all these awesome things in here, it's well worth it. That, I mean, that part about not, you know, you're not visually editing the form, that's fine with me. So I can pick what fields I want to see on that tab, and then I can add I can add a section, which could be like kind of like a divider, which it would just be like verbiage that says this is details or something like that, and I can say add, and then maybe I can say move that up to, you know, have the description under the details or something like that. Yeah, there. So it's just going to really be the word details. A fragment is going to be just a block of text or just some verbiage or something like that you want to put on the form. So fill this, oops, this out for you. Pull this out. Okay, and then this form is for help desk issues. We will contact you. Sure you will. All right. And then you can format it, and it's got all these ways to, you know, do colors and font sizes and things like that. And you can even say whether it spans full row. That's going to be if you have more than one column in your form, then you'd want that to span across. Now notice that, so when I've added this fill this out thing, it's listed down here. Okay. So I still need to add it to the form. I'll go do that in a minute. Let me see. Tab permissions. Let me go ahead and save, update what I've done in here. And then we'll go look at the admin tab, and we'll go look at what I've done with some permissions in here. So what you do is you create little rules in here. Let me see. I think I'm still editing the other one. Let me just close that. There we go. Hold on. All right. I'm going to go to admin and edit that. Okay. See, I said I wanted 2 columns for the admin tab, and then I've got tab permissions where I have created a rule in here. So I can say I'll go edit the rule I created. Basically, I'm giving write permission for edit and view items. And I can do that for specific groups of people, for people that are in a certain user or not in a certain group, that is in a certain group or not in a certain group. So that way I could say, like, for users in IT staff, like that, they're only going to be able to do that. And then under what condition, like status, let's see, issue status is not equal to new or something like that. So I can get very specific with what I do here in my rules, and I'll go ahead and update that. So you can have multiple rules in here to decide, you know, what you want to show and when, and what is going to be shown or hidden for your tab permissions. I can also go to general settings. Now this is for the whole form, including all of the different tabs I've, oh, he says I don't really need to update. That's only for changing name and description. Oh, thanks. That's one less click for me. Appreciate it. Do I want to display this as tabs, or do I want to display it as groups? So groups is very cool because it looks like just little very pretty grouped sections down the page. And I could also choose to not display, which means it's not going to show it as tabs or groups, but it's still going to apply like the certain permissions to those areas for certain people that I want to see or not see things. I think I said that right. So I put mine as tabs, and then I can say hide empty tabs like they don't have anything in them. And it's even got these pre-created themes. So I chose arrow theme. Glass is another pretty one. But guess what? Look what you can also do. CSS and all kinds of stuff in here. I kind of went nuts on a form the other day where I put a bunch of CSS I was customizing a bunch of very specific parts of the form because I wanted to get down in the nitty gritty about what I wanted it to look like. So here's some just easy ones where I can just go pick a background color. Let me go, see, this is the one that I already created. So I can click to edit this style. So this style I chose to apply in all forms. Oops, let me see, update that. But you can just choose like to show it in the new form and have a different style that shows in the edit form and things like that. So you can see here's where I picked that turquoise background color. I can do some basic stuff like this with the border colors and width, but then I can really get down the nitty gritty and like set my own specific values in here, like what font sizes and how many pixels I want for this box and how many, you know, very specific colors I want for different portions of the form. And you can go to town with all that stuff in there as well. Let's see. So, wizard mode. I think this is new, Vladdy. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember seeing this before. This is very cool. Wizard mode. That means when somebody's filling out a form, you know, and you have multiple tabs, like sections of the form, and they can click next, next, next. That's what that sounds like that would be. So I can say wizard mode, and then that way the form would have a next button on it. I could just say whatever word I want. I could say like go to next step or something like that. So again, a plethora of settings in here that you could do for your forms. Let's see. So that was just really quick overview of the tab column association stuff and the tab permissions and just an overview of all those concepts. So now I'm going to go into, you have advanced column permissions. Now notice here it says manage permissions on specific columns based on conditions, form type, and user identity. Column permissions take precedence over tab permissions. So whatever, like for the status field, I set that as read only in my advanced column permissions. So it's going to be read only, and whatever rule I created in here takes precedence over what sort of settings that I put on it as far as editing or reading in my tabs. Oh, he said wizard modes for on-prem for now. Okay, cool. That's interesting. All right, so advanced column permissions. This is, you can see I've got a couple of them set up already. I can go edit this. I've only set them up for the issue status field so far, but of course you can have different permissions for different columns. And so what I've done is I said I want it to be read only when it's a new item, but then again I can get more granular and say for particular users or under specific conditions. But for me in this case it's just when it's a new item. And then this other one that I created, I said it can be in write mode, like I can edit it when you're in edit and view. And then I would probably want to say only for users and groups in IT staff, or something like that. So that's what my column permissions do. And I can, again, I can add multiple ones of these in here. I'm going to move on. I can't believe I've got so much to demo. View permissions. Love this. Okay, I don't have any view permissions yet. I'm going to say all issues is only for users in the IT staff group, and go. So there we go. So now just if you're in that group, you can see this view. If you're not, you can't. Awesome. Do y'all need to do this all the time? I mean, that is huge. People have been asking me about view permissions for years too, and it was so complicated to try and finagle it to do stuff like that. This product has everything. Okay, so I saved, that's my view permissions, and then I'm going to go back to that main screen and kind of move on to some of the next. I'm going to show you the cascading drop down. All right, so that's going to be down here under my connected lookup. All right, so how did I do this? I'll go open up the one that I already created. Let's see, I think I called it, yeah, here it is. IT category, no. Subcategory is the one I want, yeah. Okay, so you can point to a different site. And so you pick a site, you pick your list, IT subcategories, display values in, and you pick which field you want to show. You can even allow multiple values. That's not very common. That's pretty cool. Autocomplete mode. And then filter according to parent lookup. That's the cascading filter thing. All right, so that's going to be for your value in the IT category, get items with the same value in category in this subcategory list. So the subcategory list has a lookup field called category, and that's what it's going to use. Whatever top level category I pick, it's going to filter it to show me only the subcategories under that. Makes sense? Additional settings. So if I have another view of that, yeah, right, I know. Permissions at view level, huge. So if I have a specific view of my category list, maybe I have like a whole bunch of categories, and some of them don't apply to, like you have like maybe a department field, and some categories apply to different situations and different departments and things, but you still have one central list of categories. I could have views of my subcategory list that I'm pointing to and be able to just pick a specific view as well. Allow adding new values. That's that new form that I showed you when I was picking the subcategory, and I was like, oh, well, the subcategory needs not in there. Let me just add a new one. So that's what the add new button was, that I checked this box to put it there. And then do I want to load all values when the filters are empty? So that's yes, I said yes for that one. All right, so that is the connected lookup, really quick demo, and I showed you the demo of what it looks like already. Okay, so now I've got, let's see, I kind of took notes of some of the different stuff. I definitely want to show you, I want to show you this one that's come up a lot recently, this concept of, let me know if you have this happen in your company, where you want to have a central list of something, And it's not necessarily the user profile. So the user profiles is, that's already an AD. You already pretty much have that central list. But what if you want to have just a central list of something else? You don't have a database. What if you don't have a SQL database? You don't have some other place where the data lives. You just want it to be a SharePoint list. And you just want to be able to centrally edit it and let that information go across multiple site collections. So what I've done this for a customer, and for some reason, just in the past couple of weeks, I've had various people like on my blog and in the community ask me about trying to do this same thing. And I've been doing it for a customer of mine as well, where it's like a list of employees and a list of like additional information like trainings and stuff that they've taken. But anyway, it's a central list, and you want to have it go across from one site collection and kind of stay in sync with the copies in other site collections. So as far as permissions, you would want to just have this main list be the one that you're editing, and just set the other ones to read only so users don't start editing those other ones. That's going to be just more of a permissions thing. But as far as this central one, so what I did was I put it in the content type hub. So I created a content type called regions. So the idea is that I can have this list called regions with a region name and whoever's the regional director and title and information about that region all in one place. It's a content type with site columns. So what you do is you would go use this exact same content type over in another site collection, just so that the column names and everything are exactly the same. And you would just set this to, like when I change things in this main one, it's going to copy it to the other site collection. So I created regions here in this site collection, and then I created, let me go to my other, let's see, / project. Yeah, I think it's in here. And I'll show you how I'm going to use just a business, and this is a pretty simple one. I'm going to show you how I'm going to use a business action to be able to do that. Let me see. I'm just going to add an app. And oh, you know what? I might not have propagated my my content type across to the other site collections last night when I did this. Let's see if it shows up in this other one. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. No, it's not going to work so well. So I could still create a list that's got the exact same column names and stuff like that. But I want to show you just really quickly the idea, because I'm already halfway done with my demo. I'm going to go over here to regions and show you what I can do just to copy the data over to another list. All right, so go to my list. Now this is, again, a pretty simplistic demo, but it's a common concept. Okay, this is business logic actions. This is instead of using a SharePoint Designer workflow, because you can't do what with a SharePoint Designer workflow? You can't go cross site collections, and you kind of can do it with a web service call, but I've seen people like work really hard and it's very tricky and it's kind of a pain, and you have to know all this certain syntax and all kinds of crap. So this is really easy. All right, so I go create this business logic, and let me show you the stuff that is in here will blow your mind. Okay, so these are all the different types of actions that I can have, kind of like your list of actions in a SharePoint Designer workflow. So I'm going to rattle through some of these really quick. You have the basic stuff like updating, creating, deleting, copying items, sending an email. You can run a workflow, create a list, create a site provisioning, hello, manage permissions. So you can do library or folder or item level permissions with this thing. Run a database stored procedure, call a web service, manage Active Directory. Can you believe that? You can tap into Active Directory in here and be able to manage that stuff directly. Print list items. I love the ability to just print things with a workflow. And then calculate a summary. So those are the types of actions we can have in here. Those are all very powerful. Let me see. I'm going to switch over to sharing my screen. My system tells me that it's too much CPU usage. Let me switch over to sharing my screen with Google real quick. Screen one, there we go, share. It says I'm screen sharing. Okay, you can see it, right. I'm gonna hide Corey. No, I'm gonna present to everyone. Sorry about that, there we go. All right, okay, so here is my, what I want to do is just create a list item. So I can say create region. Hey Corey, I can hear you. Are you have a question? Oh, no, he didn't have a question.
No, I meant to pause my video and unmute it instead.
Oh, okay. So when I create a new region in this main list, I want it to automatically go create the same one in this other list in another site collection. So I'm going to go straight to action settings real quick. And so for site, I can pick current site, but I can also just paste the value of the other site right here. And then I would just paste the URL to the other, or just type the name of the other list right here. So you're just going to manually put that in these boxes instead of picking one from the drop down. And then I'm going to say region name. So the region name is in the other list. I want it to equal the region name in this list. So this is where I'm just going to go add all these different values that I want to, let's see, regional director. I want it to be, this is why they have to have, the fields have to have the same name in this list and the other list, because it's going to, it's going to need to know that name when it's sending that data over. You got some advanced settings, execute action through context menu or ribbon. Do you want to be repeatable, execute every time the list item is saved? I really don't. I really just want this to happen just when it's new. I can send my failures, send my issues to myself. This is awesome. I screwed up something the other day and I got like 300 emails. It was impressive. I managed to do something that just kept looping, and but aren't I glad that I sent myself some error emails, or I would have never known. Well, it wasn't doing what I wanted it to do, so I was in the middle of troubleshooting it anyway. This is like your impersonation steps that you have in SharePoint Designer workflows, so that's important. And do you want to execute the action prior to saving the item? No, I don't need to do that for this one. And then, of course, you can have conditions. So only if this is equal to this, or if status is equal to something, then do this action. So that's where you pick what type of action it is, you do your action settings, and then you can pick your conditions, and then you save it. Of course, this one I didn't really say where I wanted it to go, so I better not do that. All right, I'm going to show you another. So that's what I would do, and I would do an update list item for the next one, to be able to go update the other region in the other list as well. And I've done this I did this in the real world just the other day. Okay, let me close that. Let me show you another cool thing I did in here with this regions list. You'll notice I have people in here. So watch this. I'm going to go create region name, blah. Watch this. Well, huge. Look at that. Are y'all loving this? Do people want this all the time? I've got it pulling in user property information from AD. This is awesome. So what I did was I made these read-only. You don't have to make them read-only, but I made these read-only. So just whoever I pick in this people picker, it just dynamically shows it right there in the box, and they don't have to do anything, but they can at least see that their information is filled in. And of course, you can make it editable if you want. So I'll show you how I did that as well. I'm just going to go straight to InfoWise Ultimate Forms, go to regions, and I did that with the user property setting in here. So I created, now I had to create these columns using this interface. So I couldn't create them as text columns ahead of time and then pick them from here. I created them using this, but then it put them in there as columns in my list. So I created this, and then I said, what's my parent column? So this is going to show me any people fields that I have in my list, or I can just use current user. So it's got a checkbox where I can just say, as soon as the current user opens the form, it just automatically fills in those fields about them. But in this case, the director is not going to be the current user. So then I went ahead and picked the name field, and that comes across as preferred name because that's the regional director name. And then for this other one, the regional director title, I just said parent column is regional director, and then I just picked their title down here. So you can see I've got department, manager. Managers are really useful one. Just a lot of these basic fields that come from Active Directory we see in here. And then if I wanted to preload the current user, then that would just it would just put my name and my title and that stuff. But again, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to have this people field. Very cool. Y'all like that? Yes, requested all the time. Oh, again, don't forget to let me know if y'all want to buy this or if y'all are interested in it, and I can chat with Vladdy and get y'all all hooked up. Again, I've tried a lot of products like this, and I'm just so super impressed with this one, as you can tell. All right, so let's see. Those are the ones that I had in my regions list to show you. I've got another one. I want to show you the related item list concept. So I've got this one, you know, again, I spent a couple of hours putting all this demo stuff together last night, so I don't have like a ton of columns and content and stuff like that in here. But like I've got customers and locations in here. And I think that I already, let me see, where did I put that? Oh, I created one called expense report. That's the one I already got working. Let me get my expense report pulled up. Go over here. Here it is. Expense detail, expense report. So let me go back to my site. And go to my expense report. And that way you can see it in action. And I'll show you the signature thing too. I kind of started building this out. I didn't spend a lot of time in it. Yeah, I didn't really get that all done yet, did I? Let's see. Let me go get one that I already created. So, okay, so here's one that I already created. I think I was messing with like the new and the edit and all those concepts, and I did something to it right before I went to sleep last night. So here's one I already created. Here, so this is a separate list. This is the expense detail list that's got a lookup field over to the expense report list. So as I'm creating my expense report, I can add all my expense items like this. Let's say expense item. I'm going to say parking. I don't know. Didn't really put a parking category in there. Okay, and then save that. And see, notice that I'm not even in edit mode. I made this so that I don't have to be in edit mode to be able to add related items in here. It's just I'm on the view form and I'm adding items anyway. And look at that. That's my expense total. That's my associated items summary column that I'm showing on my form. And then, so the next step, it would, go through approvals and things like that. So when you put an approval field on here, you associate it with, other certain fields on here. So let's see if I broke anything. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just show you the settings behind a lot of this. All right, go down to associated items. Now, there are a few different things that need to be done in here. You need to be able to point it to the associated items list so it'll know which sub list to show. But then you also have to do something on the associated item, the detail list, so that when you pull that new form up, so that it populates the correct parent item with a parameter in there. So that's a few moving parts going on behind the scenes. All right, so I called it details. And you'll notice, let me just point to real quick. Let me just open that in a new tab. Let me point something else out in this list in my expense report. That is, see, it creates this column. Look at that. And it expands it right there in my view too. So I don't even have to open the form. It just automatically. So that's what that details column is that it creates. Pretty magical. All right, so details is what I called it. And then I said, what's the site? Again, I can pick other sites. Look at all the other sites I have in the site collection that I can pick from. I can pick which list I want it to show in here. And then even if I have a specific content type in that sub list, I can show that one. If I have a specific view in that sub list also. All right. So again, you can have a filtered view. You can have a My Items view or anything like that. You can get very specific, and you can even show them the view selector if you want them to be able to see, be able to switch between different views in that sub form while they're looking at the master form. Okay, and this is where you create your connection. Which field? I've only got the one lookup field in my details list to the parent, so that's pretty easy. That's my lookup. And then how many items do I want to show at once in that sub form? Maybe if I've got a ton of them, I don't want to go crazy and show, an unlimited amount. And this is what it says. So expense details is what it's going to say here in the column for me to click. So that's where that word is going to show up. Allow adding new values, and then remember, allow adding when parent item is in display mode. So that's why I didn't go into edit mode and I was still adding child items in that form. And then this is a new one. I love this. Thank you, Vladdy, for putting this one. Instead of just the generic new item little button that you get when you're adding items to a list. So in my sub form, I wanted it to say, let me go to edit mode real quick and show you where that is. Instead of it just saying add item, because what if they don't know what add item means? Like for the one I was building the other day, it was like sign up for training, but it just said add item. So end users didn't understand that. So I made this very specific and made it say add new expense item. And so that's where you can do that. All right. So that's where I do my parent connection there. And then my associated item summary is, okay, so this is the column that it created called the expense total, which when I went through this little screen right here, it created this expense total field in my master list. And I'm pointing it to what's, sub list I'm pointing to. What field am I totaling? Cost, and then am I summing say standard deviation, max or minimum? So I'm doing a sum of the costs. Pretty simple. And then again, I can do more filters in here. I can only sum certain, things where status is equal to approved or created by is equal to, I don't know, just anything that you want to do in here. You can. I love the way they have the ability to do filters in all these different places in here. All right, and then let's see, I showed you, what else? I know I'm talking really fast. I guess if y'all are watching this later, you can just pause it and rewind it a lot, right? I'll show you what the approvals, the signature part looks like. This one I didn't really fully flesh out. I just kind of threw it in there last night and didn't really think through like what the whole process would be because it's just a fake demo. But we've been using this a lot in the real world at my customers and putting multiple signature lines and things for it to go through a process, and even putting multiple tabs across a form, one for each different signature level, or you could have one tab for all the approvals, etc. But manager signature is what I called it. And then what columns am I signing? So the columns that you're signing, see, making changes to the signed column selection will invalidate existing signatures. So those are the ones that I want to make sure that they're not going to change later. That's what the signature is tied to. Does that make sense? And then handwritten, that's pretty fun. I'll show you what that looks like as well. And always show expanded. We'll see what those look like. I'll go ahead and do those settings too. All right, let's see if I can fix what I broke in this tab thing, because it wasn't showing the right fields in there. So expense total is the one where it's showing the total. The details is the one where I've got the details in there. Tab permissions, I don't have any permissions, and so I'll just display that as tabs. There we go. And update. He said I didn't have to click update. I'm just used to doing that. All right, any questions so far? We've got 15 more minutes and he is in here. Oh, he said if you have custom properties, you can type them in as well. Even if you're not in the list, you can even configure it to add sub items in the new form of the parent item. Very cool. I like that. I didn't even think of that. Y'all, again, ask lots of questions. He's here, to kind of hear what your questions are and to get anything addressed that you might want to know. All right, so I'm going to go back to my expense report and see if I didn't break it too bad. Go add another one. No, I don't know what I did. I'm sorry. I think I did something with it with what fields I put on there. Well, I'll just have to look at that later. I'm not going to spend. I always end up breaking something in my demos and having to troubleshoot it during Power Hour. So I'm just going to try to avoid that since I've still got so much more to show you guys in here. Let me show you what the approval little box looks like, though. So I'll go and edit this item. and go to approvals. And then I'm just going to clear that. Oh, see, I didn't even sign it yet. So manager status is the status of my form. So I was trying to do like some logic in here. So if status is equal to manager approval, then I have to type it. So that's the option that it gives them to type their name. And that's where they do their signature with their finger on a tablet or whatever with their mouse. And then save it. And then we can go back in there and look at, you know, the signature stored in there now. Mark was just showing us last week like a little JavaScript way that he figured out just with his, you know, putting code on pages and stuff like that to be able to do that. I don't know what I did wrong in here. Oh, I already signed it. I don't know. I think that I screwed up that entire thing because I had already signed it. All right. Let's see. What else was I going to show you? I have, oh, column validation. Oh, the new form for the expense detail. I have a parameter being passed to that when I'm adding the details from the lookup. So I'll go show you what that looks like too. In my detail, I have, it is right here, default values and dynamic rules. And this is just a specific little parameter to type in here when you have your form that's, you've got your little detail embedded in the master form and you want to be able to click to add an item and for it to come up and already have that default value in the item, then that's the parameter that we use in InfoWise to be able to make it automatically have that expense lookup value in there. So that part was pretty simple. That's already set up in here. And then I want to show you this alert concept. I don't have a specific demo in here for alerts, but I want to show you how extremely powerful this is. It's pretty awesome. So first of all, I can name my alert just like you can in SharePoint. I can pick which site and which list I'm creating an alert on. Who do I want my recipients to be? So not only can I just put somebody's name in here, but I have all these other ways I can put people's names in here. Look at this. So, oh, InfoWise, he said that's what the advanced column permissions are for. That's probably what I did. Okay, so I can put specific users' names in here, or I can put someone's name that's in a specific column, like maybe if I have a people field or if I have a modified or created by column, I could do that and add that. I can also add people in a contacts list. Look at this. This is huge. So what if you have just like a big list of people that you're managing over in a contact list and you just want to be able to add and remove people from the list and have different views like by department or something like that? You can make your alert go to everybody in that certain view of a contact list. And then of course I can just type a specific email address in here as well. And the same thing with the CC and BCC. I don't know how to change, I don't know if there's a way to change what the from is. I usually wouldn't want it to be from me. Oh, and the never send to, that's something we definitely don't get in a SharePoint Designer workflow. That's pretty awesome. Never send to, and then you can put specific SharePoint groups or any of the same concepts in here. All right, and then what to send. Items added, modified, deleted, pretty basic stuff. Or look at this. This is huge. People want this all the time. So think about like a date field, like over in our issues list or a task list where you have a due date and other dates like that, start date, etc. You could pick any date field and say, look, 30 minutes before date, 30 hours before date. I could say like 1 week before date and then repeat it. So this is going to like remind me when something is due, right? So I could, again, this would probably make more sense if I went over to my issues list, but I only have 10 more minutes. Does it allow you to use third-party workflow tool? Are you first forced to use the InfoWise tool? I use a combination. In the real world, I have a combination of SharePoint Designer workflows and these workflows. A lot of the times I'll just create these when it's either more convenient or and it already hasn't, it can do what I need to do, or if, I'm doing something extra fancy in a SharePoint Designer workflow where I already had it in place or whatever. But yeah, you can use them both in conjunction. Yeah. All right. And then, so I can make it repeat. That is huge. And again, like if it was, you know, think about if it was a, like a task that was not completed yet, right? You could say status is not equal to completed. And that way it would only remind you, you know, in relation to the due date when it's not completed. Huge, huge. This is another one of those things. I wrote a blog post about like a sort of hacky way to do this. And I wrote this like for SharePoint 2007 years ago, but the way to do it in SharePoint still has not changed in all these years. It's like this information management policies and all this crap. But that blog post that I wrote has got like hundreds and hundreds of comments of people like trying it and having issues and asking for other ways and asking me to figure things out. And I'm like, it's not very good. This looks really good. Let's see. Can you collapse sections? Yes, you can. Can you collapse sections on a form? Yes, when you do the grouping, it gives you an option to collapse the grouping if that's what you're asking. Yeah. Mike says, I'm working on a project with a consulting company. They had me purchase the Smart Action Pro and Smart ID Pro to assist with the project development. After seeing all the options available in Ultimate Forms, is there an upgrade path? So I'll let Vladi respond to that one. Okay, then it's got what to send. When to send it. Look at this. Business days, right, Corey? Oh, we did so much complicated stuff in a workflow one time just to get it to go only on business days. This is awesome. So it's only going to send you these notifications during business hours if you want. Huge. All right. And then immediately or daily or weekly, etc. Mail templates. You can create your own mail template. Look at this, just like this, where you can insert, you know, fields and things like that in it. Can't believe I've only got 8 minutes left. We got all this stuff to show you. And then advanced settings. I don't think send as SMS is something that I can do in here. But the main thing I wanted to show you was this in relation to a date field and the ability to send it during business hours. It's so cool. All right. And then I also, let's see. Issue, item IDs. Oh, let me show you the import thing too. Import and export. What is import? All right, so I don't have any imports set in here, but this is, you can import items from some other system on a frequency. This is huge too, because I keep saying this, but like sometimes you need to have like information about customers from a customer database, or you need to be able to actually use it in a lookup field in SharePoint or something like that, where you need to actually have the information from another system in here. One of your other systems can be email. So I can say, import all the email from this particular email address on a certain basis, or look at all the different types of databases I can import from. So I can say, import using this connection string and this particular authentication method, go find this table, what column, you know, file content column, file name, again, so you can go import the stuff into this list, the one that I've selected, on a regular basis. So it's going to have you kind of map what goes in what columns, right? And then print and export. This is a lot of fun. So we had like a form letter that we had to do, me and the customer the other day, where you had to, you're just filling out a few basic fields, but it needed to be spit out as a pretty PDF form letter with like, you know, an address and like a bunch of verbiage in the middle and stuff like that. So you can go into, so you could just print an entire, like a certain view of your list of the whole list of stuff into PDF. That's very cool. But I could also do my item, and when I go to advanced mode, this is me creating like what that form letter is going to be. So like salutation, blah, blah, blah. And then the cost is blah, blah, blah. And that's where I can insert my cost and finish all my sentences, etc. And then I can even say what I want the header and footer to be, put some CSS in there, all kinds of stuff, share my template. And I can even have only be the default template under certain conditions, if only maybe it's signed or maybe if the status is complete. And then PDF settings, so I can print to PDF. And then email settings, again, it's kind of what you see in SharePoint with the ability, but you know, the 2 boxes got extra stuff in it, like people in a contacts list. And barcode and QR code, I don't know if anybody uses that, but you have the ability to do all that too. And that will go in, like when you hit the print button in that item or list, this is what you're going to get, all, you know, whatever you set up in here. Let me show you the web parts. So I created a custom web part over in my, let me go to my correct list over here. I've only got 5 minutes left. I used a couple of their web parts to show you what that looks like. Okay, so we've got my issue dashboard. So this is that same issue list I was showing you earlier, but I used their chart web part and their InfoWise list search web part. So you can pick from a plethora of different types of charts like pie and bar and make it 3D and all kinds of stuff like that. What I did is just a really quick hardware, software, phone, like just the different top level categories and how many issues, maybe like open issues we have in each of the categories. And then this list search is another one of their web parts where I can go type, let's see, you know, type a word in here and it gives me whatever, you know, comes up in that list from that word, but I have the ability to quickly print this, quickly export this, you know, search, you know, things that I found in my search list to a spreadsheet, or I could flip between these 2 lists that I selected in my settings to be able to search between. People use the barcodes more than I think. Very cool. All right, and then advanced, this lets me get really nitty gritty with my filtering, and I can even save my advanced filter, and that way the end user can quickly go to that filter again later. That's really awesome. All right. And let's see, there's another one. There's an event calendar web part. I didn't get a chance to do the color choice one, which is really neat. Let me see if I can go do that with my issues really quick. My IT help issues. All right, let me go to my list. I can do that in 3 minutes, right? Okay. Color choice. So I'm going to pick my priority as what I'm going to do for my color choices. And then I can choose to show it as an icon, like that, high, normal, normal, whatever, low would be like a down arrow or something. Yeah, there we go. That's good enough. And then apply to background, apply to whole row, show the label, and go. So now let's go see in my list what that looks like. Oh, Anne says she needs that today, actually. Well, Anne, I've got, this is just perfect. It's just got everything you need in it. Okay, so let's go to my IT help list, and I think I have priority showing. Yep, look at that. That is so pretty. See, there's one in there that's low priority. And that's nice. That's, again, one of those things that you used to be able to do with the data view web part. They yanked the data view web part away from us, and now we don't have it. So again, there are a lot of different things, all the stuff that I rattled off at the beginning, like document link, voting, the KPIs and things like that. I didn't even get a chance to go into, but I talked really fast, didn't I? Let me go ahead and stop sharing my screen and go back over to this other thing. Let's see. Stop and go here. There we go. All right, thanks for the applause. That's really cute. Thanks, Anne. All right, so you guys, of course, we're still in the chat window. We can still keep chatting after Power Hour's over, but you guys, you can direct message me here, right, just right here in the Slack channel, or you know, the contact me button on my wonderlaura.com on my blog or whatever. If you think you or want to purchase this, I can help you out. And thanks everybody for watching. That was a whirlwind, wasn't it? I knew it was just going to be so much to have to go through. I'm surprised I got through as much as I did, but yeah. Any last words, Corey? What did you think? Is Corey still there?
I thought you plowed through pretty well.
Cool.
It's a lot of stuff to get through.
It is, yeah.
But that's what watching it later is for.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everybody for coming, and I will go ahead and shut this down and see you guys next week. I'll get the Power Hour schedule on my blog under resources. It says Power Hour schedule, and you can see what's coming up next week. Bye.